Okay, you might think, well, that sounds easy, right? So if there is itemized deduction, I would choose itemized deduction every time. Why should I get a standard deduction? Here's a catch. There is always a catch. Let me explain. But there's a little bit of mathematics involved, so I'm gonna make myself a little bit smaller. Okay, so basically, there's a rule. You can choose between the standard deduction and itemized deduction, but you can't choose both. Okay, so basically, you're going to choose one as a rational human being. You're going to choose one that's the most suited for your needs. Okay, so if you are choosing standard deduction, that's just a flat rate, and most of the time every year, the IRS is going to adjust that based on the inflation. So basically, just a flat rate, flat amount, not flat rate, sorry, flat amount that are going to deduct it, but are going to adjust it every year. Just slightly make it like suit for this inflation. Okay? But itemizing deduction is a completely different story. So basically, you're going to listing your real expenses. So basically, the words itemizing basically called itemized. So basically, you're going to make item of it, item. You're going to list all the item out. So, yeah, that really depends on which choice is most suitable for you. So, for example, if you are like filing for, that really depends on the filing status. By the way, so for example, as I'm recording this video, it's 2025 that you're going to filing for the 2024. Okay, so if you're filing for single, that will be $14,600 as a fixed amount. And so, for example, you can also filing as a MFJ. So basically, if you're married, you can get this married filing joint. Okay, and that would be $29,200. Okay, and of course you can also filing as a HOH, as the head of households. That will give you like flat rate, flat amount of $21,900. So remember, all these numbers is changing every year due to inflation. So that amount is fixed. But here's the catch. If you choose itemizing deduction, you have to make economic sense, okay? So basically, if you're listing everything out and you later, find out that itemizing, did not save you more, why you should itemize? You should just use the simple, standard deduction and using a flat amount. That'll be best for you. But if there's more than the standard deduction, that make economic sense. Let me just give you an example here. So, let me just grab my pen here. Oh, brilliant. So, for example, if you are single, okay? If you are single, and you paid for example, $7,000 in mortgage interest. Okay, you know what? Look at here, property taxes, mortgage interest. Okay, so this will be classified as itemizing deduction. Okay, so you can become itemizer. You're listing out, you can make it deductible. Okay, and then for example, you pay the state or local taxes, and that is classified as a state and local income or sales taxes. Okay, and you pay total of $6,000. Okay, fair, sounds fair. You're single, you pay, oh my gosh, that's tons of taxes. Okay, and then you know what? If you adding this up, okay, so $13,000. Yeah, if you compare that with the single, like the flat amount, The standard deduction is, I'm going to just give you that amount, $14,600. Okay, this is standard. And if you use this, you list everything out, it's less than this amount, it didn't make economic sense. Okay, you shouldn't do that because it will like cost you more. So, you know what? You shouldn't choose that. You should choose the standard deduction, unless you want to. Of course, you can choose. But let's say something changed. For example, you just remember that you went to some like donation like parties. You donate something to the charity. Okay, you remember that. Or if you don't know, through this video, oh, that can classify as a item in this itemizing deduction. So for example, you donate, say 2,000. You're very generous. You donate 2,000 to the charity. After a few bottle of wine and talk and really happy time, and you're really touched by these like sad stories, and you really want to donate, really want to help. Okay, so you donate 2,000, and then you remember, it will come back to me when you do the taxes. And so, oh yeah, I just donate to the charity. You know what? That classifies as a charitable donation. Okay, and if you add all this up, that's a totally different story. Okay, so if you add this up, it will be $15,000. Okay, that do make economic sense because in this case, this $15,000 itemizing save you more, okay, than the standard $14,600. Okay, so you know what? It's better to take this itemizing deduction approach rather than the standard deduction approach. Okay, hope that makes sense. That's the catch number one.